Welcome to new episodes of Marketing Funnels with Nipun Syal. So we have with us Dakota Routh, founder of Agency Sport for High Level. Hi Dakota, welcome to our show.
Hello, how are you?
All good, all good. You tell how are you?
Fantastic, thank you. Just living the dream.
Okay, so we got lots of hype going on these days regarding white label suite. Like you acquired those. So this is with like the contest I'm giving you to the listeners is white label suite is like a software which we'll know more from the Dakota, but it was on by Walter and Johan. They are
Hmm.
also good people and like high level. They have good names and lots of people face problem with the leads because they have their systems in the place but they don't get leads. So what the systems are, and that's what where white label suits come in. And Dakota, can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly first white label suit?
So White Level Suite is a plugin that you can plug into your high level agency, and imagine you start a high level agency, you're starting to get sub accounts, and now your clients and you also need leads. So what White Label Suite does is it allows you to pull leads in multiple different categories from multiple different sources. And essentially, if I wanted to know every single plumber in Seattle within a 10-mile radius of Seattle, I could go into White Label Suite and tell it to give me 100 plumbers a day for the next 30 days. And every evening, it'll go and find those 100 plumbers, pull them into your high level account. It'll enhance them using our AI technology to tell you everything about their business, how many followers they have on all their social media, who their top followers are, if they're being active on social media. It'll give you headlines and subjects and text and all that kind of stuff that is customized to the person and the business so that you can reach out to them and actually get their attention. It's got a variety of different ways. We also have a website tool that you put on your website that will tell you the name and phone number and email address of every single person that's visiting your website so you can start reaching out to them and marketing to them if you wanted to.
Amazing. So if we
Yeah.
talk about the business part, like there is 3 4 ways to start the business or have a business. First is like starting it as a first gen. Second is like investing in a business. Third is acquiring a business. So
Yeah.
initially as an entrepreneur, people first start with starting their business or just following a legacy from their parents. And then the second is okay, they can invest in, but third acquiring is like a big hole. So what
Yeah.
was real reason like you acquired white label suit? Why you acquired it? How exactly? Because lots of people I did a podcast, they told about investing in a business or they told about like okay, how they started their journey. But
Mhm.
acquiring is a very good topic, like because these days if you see we don't want to start it from a scratch, if we have a value, how to acquire and what are the challenges? I want to show the both sides of journey, like what are the challenges
Sure.
and what are the good things. So how you get to know, like with Johan or Walter, you already know them, how exactly this thing happened?
Well, this is a great question. There's a lot of positives, and then there's some challenges that go along with it. I've known Walt and Johan for maybe 5 years since they launched White Label Suite into the high level community back then. In fact, I remember the first post that they ever made in high level talking about what they had launched and things of that nature, and it just kind of took off from there. So we've always kind of known each other. We worked closely just because our community already used White Label Suite, and so we had them in our community to kind of teach some lessons to some of our crowd for a couple of different times, and it went really well. And then Johan and Walt and I all kind of started talking about 6 months ago, roughly, about the possibility of acquiring them. It didn't work out back then. So we just kind of put it on the table side and then started going back and forth over the last 6 months, and we were finally able to come to an agreement. Some of one of the reasons we decided to do it is because it's like, on our main side of our company, we offer support and onboarding for high level agencies. We do white label support, and so it just made sense that we start offering a new lead tool because we're in the business of helping agency owners grow and get better and make more money, and we're already providing the white label support piece of it. Why not provide a white label lead source that they could plug into their agency? So it was like peanut butter and jelly. It just kind of went together. Some of the challenges with an acquisition, I mean, man, there's a lot. It's like trying to learn a new business on hyper mode, hyper speed. You got to figure out like the back end of the software, the front end of the software, what's the price points, who does what. Luckily, with White Label Suite, they had a good team behind them. And that was part of the reason we decided to acquire them, was because of the team that they had in place. If they didn't have a team, then unfortunately we would have to learn it ourselves, everything, and then start from scratch. And that becomes really challenging. But with the team that's already in place, it made it kind of a no-brainer for us.
Amazing. So like
Yeah.
after acquiring, like there is few steps we need to take because their working style is different. Now agency sport working style is different and both teams are different. So how exactly you are taking this challenge? Well, after acquiring, like are you creating any SOPs or you are following what exactly they are doing? So how the things are going on? Like what's your take on this?
Well, it's still really new and fresh. Like we acquired them 4 days ago. So
Okay.
the deal was official on Wednesday of last week, and we announced it to the public on Thursday of last week. So we're still, up to our elbows trying to figure out all the various things that are going on. Like, for example, we're having our first team meeting, excuse me, today with all of the staff. We spent the first 2 days kind of dealing with like meeting with vendors. Like one of the first things I did is I needed to meet with all the vendors, see if there's any room to move some things around, potentially renegotiate contracts, things of that nature, and kind of go from there. And so we did that. Now we're meeting with the team today, and the plan is just to put together a game plan of what we're going to release first, what we're going to change first, and then just keep progressing forward.
I mean, and lots of my faults, my clients are also using white label, suite, and agency support of your. So here is the biggest question from the users. Like what exactly get changed, what they need to see, because lots of time when the management get changed, the users are more worried. Hey, what
Sure.
exactly going on to be the, because we are on a very first plan and now the plans get changed after 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, new updates are there. So how exactly they will? So for this question is from them, you can say. So what
Yeah.
exactly gonna see? They will see the more updates and other stuff, and how exactly things gonna with them.
It's a great question. So, first of all, we're not going to take anything away from anybody. If somebody has a specific pricing that they have been given and they've been used to using the system for X amount of years, we're going to keep letting them use it that way. The plan is to change things for the better moving forward. So we're not going to be removing anything. One of the first two things we're going to be working on is implementing a website ID tool. So this is a script that you can install on your website that will capture the name, phone number, and email of every single person that visits that site, and then sends it over to your high level. And then, of course, from there, sends it over to your white label suite account. And then from there,
Yeah.
sends it over to your high level. And in the process, our AI tool will enhance the lead, giving you more information about that lead so that by the time it makes its way to high level, you have anything and everything you need as far as information and data wise to be able to hold a conversation with them. So that's number one. One of the things that the team has already been working on is rebranding it back to White Label Suite. Prior to the acquisition, Walt and Johan had rebranded it to AXUP, AI XUP. And we were paying attention to what the community was saying in the group. And when we announced it, we asked the community, like, what would you like to see? And one of the top things that they said was that they wanted it to be back to white label. So we are in the process of rebranding it back to White Label Suite. The team is almost done with that. I've kind of been going back and forth and approving some things with them. So they'll see all the branding for AXUP go away and have it returned back to White Label Suite in the next day or so. And then third, we are working on changing it from a credit system to a dollar system. So instead of them logging in and seeing that they have 1,000 credits and not having an idea of whether a lead costs 1 credit and an enhanced lead costs 3 credits and so on and so forth, and how much did I pay for these credits, and then having to explain all of that to their clients on top of that, we're going to switch it to a dollar system, kind of like almost similar to the way high level works, where there'll be a wallet and then your agency will have a master wallet that feeds down to your sub accounts and your sub accounts will pay you and things of that nature.
You are simplifying the concept so that everybody can, because the ecosystem is of go high level. So if it is everything related to it, so people can easily understand. And
Yeah.
sometimes credits get like in the dollars, we can always say, okay, we have like $70 pending, but in the credits, we never know as soon as we just click on that and we get more leads, and then we said, okay, we don't have more leads. And how much leads needs if we are putting up a target? Hey, let's say we are targeting 1,000 people. So how many dollars we need? So that's really
Correct.
nice. Now there is like one more question, because we see like where the founder goes, the energy and everything goes towards that direction in any section. Like even if founders start focusing more on the HR part, then the recruitment goes fast. If founders focusing on some other part, or the updates go. Now
Yeah.
you are on two boards: agency support for high level, and then there is white label suite. And both are the major good thing is both are interconnected. Like white label suite guys needs this, so it's not like a new thing coming up. But so where is Dakota's energy going now?
So another great question. One of the first things that we decided to do was to not segregate the two teams, to put them together. And so that way, with agency support, we have a really large team. We have 75, 76 team members. And so with White Label Suite, it's much smaller. So what we didn't want to do was to segregate them and then have to worry about like this team doesn't know that team and that kind of thing. And I have a really good support system at agency support because, we've been building that for years now. And so when I'm not able to do something on the agency support side, I have team members that will just step up and do it for me without even asking. And that's kind of what we want to build with White Label Suite. So we started integrating the two teams together almost immediately, and that seems to be going really well. Now the plan is to set aside, like, we're going to have our team leader meetings together. We'll have our team meetings together, because one of the things that we're going to start doing is offering support for White Label Suite clients. And so I need to make sure that the two teams can work together for that reason alone. That, like, hey, if you have a client that needs help with their White Label Suite account, we want them to be able to chat with our support team, so our support team can actually help them. And in order to do that, the two teams have to have a good relationship together. So my energy is essentially right now equally split on both, but we're doing a lot of things together to kind of make that easier.
Right. I think it's a best strategy was for like the four bot system. Walter has lots of videos like this step, but people buy and they want to get their problem solved. They are not that much technical as a business owner, what I see. And they again look find someone who can implement that four bot system. Even all those tutorial videos are there so that
Yeah.
somebody will come and implement in their business, so that they just need to click it. I was working with one of the client, and they give me the backend system. Hey, for bot system, I want to implement this, I want to this. And then I was like, okay, have you attended all that tutorial? He said like, no, we just purchased it. Now we want someone to implement that, but we love the system. Then
Yeah.
I thought, okay, and that's where like the agency support people can also do it, because they are well versed with high level. And although there is major snapshots which we need to deploy to do that stuff. Now, how you get from 0 to 76 support members, how you come into the high level ecosystem. So we're now
Mm.
going more back towards the high level when you get introduced to high level.
Yeah.
And how you think that, okay, you need to start agency support for high level.
Okay, so we came in a high level space in 2020, and we started as an agency, and we came from a background where sales was not an issue for us. Getting leads was not an issue for us. Like, we understood that side of the business very well. But sadly, we fell on our face and failed pretty miserably for the first 6 months after we launched our agency. Got excited, started selling everything, got the shiny object syndrome, like, what's the next best feature, and so forth. And so because of it, we didn't do very well at selling anything. And so we had to relaunch. And when we relaunched, we started doing really, really well. The reason I tell you that story is because, back then we were all focused on sales, right? And our first successful month, which was about month 7 for us, we sold 39 sub accounts that month. And next thing I know, I was like, wait a minute, who's going to onboard these people? Who's gonna offer support? They started asking questions. And the truth is I didn't know enough about high level back then to even answer most of their questions. And so we hired a company to do our support and to do our onboarding. And I was like, yes, awesome. Now we have that problem solved. And then a month later, I got a report that we had lost 17 of the first 39 sub accounts. And I was like, what? Like, that's almost half of everybody that signed up. And when I started calling them to ask them why they left, most of them all said the same version of something. And it was like, it's too complicated. It does way too much. I don't have time to learn all this, that kind of stuff. And that's when it dawned on us that the company we had hired for support and onboarding was trying to teach them how to use high level in an hour, and that's it. They gave them one. Give us one session, and we didn't put two and two together until it was too late at that point. And so we started revamping the onboarding process ourselves, and we just started taking on the responsibilities for all of onboarding. And my wife started meeting with all the new clients, and we started training our small little VA team back then. I think we had 3 people, and we just started doing it ourselves to the point where we got really good at it. And then about a year and a half later, a buddy of mine who's also in the high level space was like, "Hey man, who do you use for onboarding?" And I was like, "Well, I do it myself." And he's like, "Hey, can you do mine?" And I was like, "No." I said, I barely have time to do mine. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, can I pay you?" And I thought about it, and I was like, "All right, hold on a second. Here's what we'll do. We'll do a beta test." And so we decided to start trying to white label our onboarding process. And so our company first started as an onboarding company. And we were doing that behind the scenes quietly for about 6 months. Like, we didn't tell a ton of people that we were doing it. We picked up a decent amount of clients. And then that same original guy comes to me and goes, "Hey, can you do my support?" I was like, "No, man, I can't do your support. I'm not even doing my support." I was still using the original company that I'd signed up with. And he's like, "Well, why not? Why aren't you doing it?" I was like, "I don't have a really solid answer for that, actually. I've just been so used to using this other company that I have never even thought about it." And at that point in time, we were getting a lot of complaints about the quality of support that was coming in. Keep in mind, we were still using this other company. Like, they were waiting for 20 minutes to talk to somebody, or waiting for 25 minutes before they could finally talk to somebody. And then when they talked to somebody, the person was like, "Yeah, I can't help you." They can't even resolve the problem. And so at that point, I was like, "Well, I guess I can do support." So we started trying to work on like launching support on our side. We hired a developer to build us a chat system and a ticketing system and a widget and all that kind of jazz, so we can install it into an agency account. And then we launched it quietly again. Originally, we weren't open 24/7. We were only open US hours. And so a lot of challenges, a huge learning curve. Like, I remember when we finally switched to 24/7, I was so scared that somebody was going to come in the middle of the night and ask
Yeah.
a question that nobody could answer, that literally, like, I was doing shifts in the middle, and I could work for 3-4 hours and go to bed for an hour, and work for 3 or 4 hours, go to bed for an hour. And I just did this 24 hours a day. And I did this with my team. So there's like 4 or 5 of us that were like committed to working that shift, and just to make sure that, there was always somebody there could answer. And at some point I was like, "Man, how am I going to get this to grow?" And so we tried hiring existing people from other companies. That didn't work out really well. Most of them had bad habits. Remember, we were trying to be different than everybody else. And so one of the worst things you can do is hire your competitors' ex-employees that already have bad habits, because now
Yeah.
you've got to retrain them. So we learned that lesson. And we tried hiring people from scratch and then teaching them high level. That kind of worked. It didn't work very well. And then ultimately, what we decided to do is a blended model, where now we hire people that have some experience. We put all of our new people through a 45-day internship where it's unpaid. We teach them high level. Then we quiz them every week. They have to pass a quiz. And then at the end of the 45 days, they take a final exam. And if they pass the final exam, then some of them are offered jobs, some of them are not. The ones that are, everybody gets a certificate that they can show to somebody else saying, "Hey, I passed this internship." And that seems to work out the best for us, because now we're not getting somebody who's got bad habits. We're getting people that we can actually grow ourselves from scratch. We're almost like growing our own trees, if that count like that.
Right, that really means. And now I'm coming to that question, like, you and your wife works together, Christine. So me and my wife work together. So like in this period when you are like doing all those stuff, so how many times you guys discuss, "Hey, now Dakota, what's the next step? Now you are coming up with this. Now you are acquiring this." How the conversation goes on the back end style.
Man, we both know our lane pretty well. There's things that, she just lets me make the decision. There's things that I just let her make the decision. And then there's things like we make the decision together. The decision to acquire White Label Suite was something that we decided to do together. If it's operational, then she takes the reign on it. If it's like tech related or sales related, I take the reign on that. And if it's kind of a something that falls anywhere in between, then we talk about it together. But I mean, it has its challenges. One of the reasons we work so well together is that we both know what our strengths are, and we let the other person work within their strengths. So I don't have to worry about whether or not something's going to get done if it falls within her area, because I know she's going to handle it.
I mean, so how, like in my case, sometimes when we are going some, and you guys travel a lot. So while traveling, we're talking about, hey, my team is doing this, and hey, this is the client. And that's what the conversation going, instead of watching that views, hey, we are going there. So how often it happened with you guys? Because you guys travel a lot.
Man, I try to take her on every trip I go on out of
Yeah.
town. Now, that doesn't always happen, but I try to include her in all of them. Part of the challenges with traveling is you're away from your family. So if I have the ability to take my family with me, we'll turn it into kind of like a blended vacation. And that works really well. We've done that several times, even when we've taken our kids. We took our daughter to Thailand and to Philippines, and she enjoyed that. And both of them were working speaking engagements, so it worked out really well. We try to combine it as at least the two of us as much as possible. Now that doesn't always happen. There's been once where I had to travel to Philippines by myself, but for the most part, she comes with me every time.
Amazing. Just like me, like I travel with my son and other stuff. So here,
Yeah.
there is one. You guys dress like you have amazing suit, the matching. Saw you at high level, like October event. So like, who come up with that idea? Okay, we need to dress like that. And Christine has a beautiful gown. She looks very different, and you look very different. So who comes up with that idea beside business, the style statement?
So, I mean, that was kind of something we both decided, like, we're going to get dressed up because we knew it was a gala type event. It was they call it a black tie event, right? And we wanted to not just wear our normal suits and normal dresses. So I gave Christina the freedom of just going and picking out whatever dress she wanted. She picked out blue. And so I went with blue. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go get a blue suit then. And I got a blue suit, and it was fun. It was a blast. And we'll probably do it again.
Yeah, amazing. So I'm excited to see this October what you guys are deciding. Now I'm coming to know one more venture of yours. You are doing a summit, an event, because hosting an event, it's going to an event. You talk about, okay, you go to Philippines and went to
Yeah.
other of Costa Rica, but hosting an event is again another side of challenge where you know.
It's a
So and you are
whole
hosting. Yeah. So tell me about your upcoming event. What exactly people can expect over there? You are doing in Vegas. I just want to know more about.
Yeah. So over a year ago, I came up with this idea that I wanted to host an in-person event for 3 days. Number one, I wanted it to be more of a joint venture because I didn't think it was fair that everybody learned. Like, the idea behind it was to not just to have a speaking engagement and have a whole bunch of people speaking. That's not what we wanted to do. What we wanted to do was to have a learning session where day one through day three, they're learning all the various steps of starting a high level agency, launching it. Where do I get my leads from? Who do I sell to? How do I sell it? What do I sell? What's my price point? All of it. And have just like an in-person event where somebody could learn everything they needed to launch their high level agency in 3 days, and then go into the marketplace and be able to do that. But I have a specific learning style, and I teach, like selling one to one. And one of my good friends, Andy Audate, he teaches selling one to many, in a webinar style. Both of us sell completely different niches. We both have completely different approaches, and both of us have seven-figure agencies. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, so he found a way to do it his way. I found a way to do it my way. There's got to be other ways out there besides even just our two. And that was what I wanted it to be about. Like, if there's 10 people in the room and I'm teaching how to sell it my way, one or two or three might be able to do that, while the other seven are just, they might be able to do it Andy's way or Caitlin's way or your way or things of that nature, right? So what we wanted to do is to have multiple different learning styles to teach people different ways to sell high level. So ultimately, we're going to talk about probably 5 different ways that you can package and sell high level on the marketplace. And then we're going to talk about pricing strategy. We're going to talk about fulfillment, retention, onboarding, all of that. So that way, when they're done with the 3 day summit, they have everything that they need. And I decided to partner up with Andy on this because we have similar values, and we both have successful agencies, and we did it down the street from each other. Like he lives
Mm.
literally 5 minutes from me, but when we were coming up in the high level community, we didn't know each other. It wasn't until after our agencies were successful that we finally met each other. And I thought that was pretty intriguing that, like these two guys who have completely different styles, completely different niches. They're both selling two different products in the high level space. Both were successful, and we wanted to be able to share that with the community.
Amazing, amazing concept. So, as a newbie, whosoever is watching, they want to start their agency and go high level as a white label. What three
Yeah.
tips you do? Like they will get their first 10 clients, then how to retain their clients, and how to hire a manpower for the same
Hmm.
as a people
Okay.
starting up.
I love this. Okay, you said three things, right? So
Yeah.
number one, pick a niche. Don't be the guy who sells everything to everybody. Pick a niche and then solve one specific problem within that niche. Don't solve two, don't solve three, solve one. Find and whatever niche you pick, make sure they can afford your price point. Right. So if you're selling done for you services where you are literally wrapping it in a bow and handing it off to your client, it's ready to go, then you should be charging more for that. But if you're charging more for that, make sure you're not selling to industries that are constantly broke. Like if your clients don't have money and they can't pay for your service, then you're defeating your purpose. So there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that need to be solved in order to be able to have a successful business. And then most people come into high level because they want to sell and because they want to make money. It's very rare, or I should say more rare, for somebody to come into high level because they're tech savvy. They're like, yes, I like the tech side. I don't want to sell. And so if you are the person who came into high level because you wanted to sell, then focus on selling. Don't focus on the tech. I always tell people that you need to know if it can be done, not how to do it. Meaning that, can I build a voice AI that does A, B, and C? You need to know if that can be done so that you can go out into the marketplace and sell it. You don't need to know how to build that voice AI that does A, B, and C, because there are many people out there that can do that for you. And you can hire them either as a long term solution or even as a short term solution. But you really should focus on, can it be done? And if so, how much am I going to charge for it? And then number three, if you're going to be that salesperson that I just mentioned, you're going to need a tech team. And the easiest way to do that is to hire one from a company that's already trained somebody in high level. Now, you can go recruit people on Upwork or Fiverr and things of that nature, but then you're spending so much time and energy and effort into interviewing them, holding them accountable, training them on things that maybe you don't even fully understand, and so forth. Just hire someone or hire a team from a company like ours. It doesn't have to be ours, but hire a team from a company like ours where they manage it, we manage it for them, excuse me. We train them, we hold them accountable. We make sure that they are fully updated on all the new updates that come out with the software and things of that nature. And you just simply point them in the right direction. Like, hey, I need this done. I need that done. Start working on that. And then as long as you have the right price point and you're talking to the right audience, then you should be successful.
Amazing. Now there is like my cross question to the SS, like there is AI thing going on with the clients also. Like you do lots of services, so you have the full service experience. Some clients are good, some clients are toxic, and some these days what going on whenever somebody some implement something as a newbie or they goes to the ChatGPT client and then put something, hey, I want to do this. ChatGPT come up with 5 to 7 solutions. Out of that, only 3 or 4 are working perfectly as a marketing point of view, but GPT give them 7 stuff and they say, hey, you need to implement this, you didn't do this. So how you come up with that? Have you experienced something like this? And then people come with some different dilemmas like, hey, this is not done, this is like chat GPT is doing, you are saying it's not, but there is always a right, because there are lots of ways to implement GHL. So how you
Yeah.
cope up with that service industry?
Okay. So ultimately, the agency owner is the driver, right? So they have to decide what they're willing to implement and what not to implement. But often they come to us and ask us for our opinion and or ideas, and we'll share them with them. But still, it's the agency owner's responsibility to pull the trigger on what they want to do, right? And what we often find, and I think it's just the nature of the business, what we find is that there's a lot of people out there that come in with a very, very, very tight budget. When I say tight, I mean like no budget. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to hire a tech company until I get my first client. I don't want to build anything until I get my first client. I don't want to start paying for leads until I get my first client. And I'm like, okay, well, that's complete opposite of what every other business out there is doing. You should have those things in place beforehand, right? Like you don't want to wait until you get your first client to then start figuring out what solution you're going to sell them, right? Or how you're going to fulfill those things. So ultimately, all we can do is make recommendations to the agency, but it's still their responsibility to pull the trigger on what they're going to implement. Now, if they're going to Chat GPT to get the answer to what kind of marketing, I mean, okay, kudos for at least taking some effort into doing that. But ChatGPT is not always going to be correct. It's going to take a conglomeration of different ideas and try to give them what it thinks is the most important. But all of them are going to have their challenges. Like if you're cold calling or cold emailing or whatever your approach is, walking into businesses, things like that. What ChatGPT doesn't explain is how hard some of those things are and how much you have to do it in order to be successful. And I think that's equally important to the process.
Amazing. And here I'm coming like and connecting the dots of it. You say like while talking to Johan and Walter, it takes 6 months to do that negotiations and other stuff. Now
Mhm.
while building your agency support for high level, again it takes like 6 months to figure out on the 7th month you started. And everything takes time. Like even it's a AI world, still it takes time. It doesn't matter like whatever you start with the AI, the very next day you will get the results. It
Yeah.
always take time to figure out. So now when you are working with your friends, so right now like you told that Walter and Johan, so there is some boundaries also. Hey, while these things will not work, it will screw their relationship, your friendship. So how exactly you come up with that point of view with them? Because it takes 6 months, and 6 months everything is going up down. Sometimes they might be saying yes, sometimes no. These things are going. How you finally conclude, hey, this is the day we are deciding? So I just want to know that 6 months part.
Well, so with Walt and Johan, the conversation was different 6 months ago than it was a month ago. And then as we got closer to figuring out and negotiating like what the final price would be and what the transition would look like, one thing I want to be clear is that like we never had any doubt like whether or not the transition would be smooth or not. Walt and Johan are solid guys. They're great. They're men of their words, and that means a lot. And so, like, who you're buying the business from also determines whether you should be buying that, right? So, like in this situation, we knew that the transition would be pretty smooth. Both Walt and Johan have been exceptional in the transition process for us, and so that made it very easy decision once we were able to come to an actual price agreement. And then at that point, it was just like, okay, let's get the paperwork done, let's get payment made, and let's start figuring out how this is going to work. And then it's like one step in front of the other. You just take a step, and then once you get that step taken, you take another one, and then you just keep taking steps until it's done.
Amazing. And these men are like with no haters. I didn't see anyone like talking about them. These guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And here your entrepreneurial journey comes into picture because once you are figure out how that works, what are the things you not to do? Because things what we need to do, we see in the papers, books, everywhere, hey, for a business. But not to do, it's already comes with the experience from our mistakes. Can you give us like 3 learnings which you get it from your mistakes you should not do as a white label go high level agency owner, because you work with lots of agencies, you know their account and you know that what exactly things they are talking, because you
Yeah.
already have that experience with the other clients. Hey, this is the problem going on in there, and you can always diagnose that. So what are the 3 mistakes they should avoid, like things they need to do? They need to find a niche. And what are the major 3 mistakes people do in as a white label agency in GH?
Another great question. I would say my number one is assuming you have some clients. Don't shut off what your clients are saying. Meaning that you should always be listening to what your clients are telling you. They're telling you how to sell them more. They're telling you how to fulfill your product. They're telling you the things that they want to see. Meaning, listen to your clients. Be open that number one, you don't have the answer to everything. And if you believe you have the answer to everything, then you should just stop right now because it will be only a matter of time before you fall on your face permanently. You're not going to have the answer to everything, and your clients are going to tell you what pieces are missing, what pieces need to be changed, what they want to see, things of that nature. Like for example, when we bought White Label Suite, one of the first things we noticed is that people were screaming for it to be rebranded back to White Label Suite and to be able to have the white label piece of it. So it was the first thing that we gave them. and so forth. When a process or a system is broken and your clients find that it's broken, be humble enough to go, thank you. I appreciate you showing this to me. You showing me allows me to get better and allows my team to get better so that we can continue to provide a quality service. Don't be defensive. Don't, it didn't look like this yesterday or whatever. Just, be humble enough to accept that you make mistakes, and if your clients find it, cool. Thank you. I appreciate you telling me.
You are
Let
getting
me,
paid for your mistakes to get
yeah.
rectified.
Yeah. And then number two, if you don't have clients and you're in the lead gathering process and you're trying to find clients, be willing to sit down and look at every step of the equation. Meaning, like, where am I getting my leads from? Are they good? Are they leads that are cold or warm or hot? And if they're not hot, how do I get them to hot? Be able to sit down and evaluate all the different stages, like to go from no lead to prospect, from prospect to hot prospect, from hot prospect to this person's a client, and so forth. Look at every step and see what's broken and be willing to change those things. Like, I'll give you an example. We launched a brand new agency a couple of months ago, and we were getting a ton of people who were making appointments, but our show rate was horrendous. Our show rate was less than 10%. And so we didn't look at the leads and go, these leads are bad. Clearly the leads are good because they're making appointments. We looked at it and go, something's wrong with our system because people aren't showing up. Right. And so how do we get people to show up? So what we did is we just started implementing different things. Like, we'll send them a video right after they book an appointment, explaining that the appointment's going to take 10 or 15 minutes. And here's what we're going to do. Please be in front of a computer, things of that nature. And that brought our show rate up a little bit, but not quite where we wanted it to be. So next thing we do is, okay, let's look, can we double confirm them? Can we call them the day before and make sure that they're confirmed and that kind of thing? And then we notice our show rate continuing to come up. So what we did is we started looking at the different things that we could have been doing different to make that process smoother and better. We didn't just eliminate the lead itself. And then the third and final thing that I would say is to be humble. Always be humble, meaning that don't look in the mirror and go, my systems are perfect. My company is perfect. If your clients are leaving, if your clients are telling you they want to cancel, if your clients are not signing up, things of that nature, be humble to look at what you're doing wrong, right? Because likely you're just missing a step. And if you look internal to go, how can I fix that step? What can I do different to make sure that my clients are not leaving, to make sure that I am signing up more people, things of that nature? Then you'll be able to solve that problem faster. It's easier to fix your habits than it is to fix somebody else's.
Amazing. That's like an awesome tip where we need to see our system also. Do not come always with like, okay, we are right and now we are doing this. Don't be so arrogant. It will not work fully. And now my last question is like agency support for high level and white level. So I know like how they complement each other. But as a newbie who wants to opt for these services, I will put that in the description links. How you guys can help them and how white label suit, how agency support can help them to start, or if they're already running, because there is a major problem going on with the churn rate. That's where churns come, and like after 5 months they're excited, but after 5 months they just churn out and you think, I need to again find a new client to reach to those levels of awards or some 7 figures, 8 figures. So I want to know, as a like people who are very new to marketing, who are already running agencies, how you guys can help. And I'm putting all those links in the description so that the people who are watching us, they can go and opt for yourself.
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. So the two businesses complement each other, but they solve two different problems. Okay, so on the agency support side, we're providing white label support and onboarding for agencies so that they don't have to deal with the tech related pieces. They don't have to deal with the onboarding. They don't have to take time to answer those questions. They can focus on going out and selling more. They put them into a pipeline, then our team takes over, does the onboarding, handles all the support, things of that nature. We also do weekly training that their clients can attend. And so this allows those agencies that got into the space to sell to really just focus on what they're good at, and that is go out and sell. Let us handle the tech and support piece. And then on the white label suite side, businesses need leads. All businesses need leads. With white label suite, you're able to pull in a suite of leads from various sources. Everything from pulling in a list of who is a plumber, who is an HVAC company, things of that nature, to capturing leads that visit your website. And soon we're going to have what's called an intent search, a keyword intent search, meaning that If Nipun goes out and searches for pizza near me, and I know Nipun's in Seattle, then a client of ours that's using the white label suite software could literally say, I want to know every time somebody searches for pizza in Seattle, and when they do, I want their name, their phone number, their email. It'll pull it into the white label suite account. It'll enhance it using our AI, and then port it over to your high level account. And then once it's in at high level, game on. Like, we can now call them, email them, somebody can reach out to them. Hey, I noticed you were looking for pizza in Seattle. Well, guess what? We have great pizza, right? Things of that nature. So soon you'll have that feature inside of the white label suite, and the two really complement each other. One helps keep customers long term, and the other is helping you get customers.
Amazing.
Like peanut
And
butter and jelly, Napoon.
right, because these are the two different problems you rightly said. Because some people have good leads, but they are not able to manage them, and then they think
Yeah,
that leads are shit. The leads are not a problem. Our system is the problem. And
yeah,
second one is like they don't have leads. They have a system now. How to employ? If they have an automation system, but they don't have leads to automate the follow up
yeah.
speed to follow up and other stuff. That's really nice. What are the essential steps of onboarding? So, like lots of people do onboarding in a very different style. They said, okay, you can build a website because the salespeople commit a lot. Hey, you don't need to have Calendly, you don't need to have website, you don't need to have automation, don't pay to Zapier,
Yeah,
make all those stuffs are inside. Now you have AI calling, conversation, lots of stuff. And
yeah,
then they onboard. And but the onboarding steps need to, because major, like some people right now A2P is a mess, and then like connecting a domain, sometimes people are not able to connect it. So what are your essential steps, and what are the advice you give while people onboarding, so that client can get started getting value in a short while? Because sometimes it takes time, 2 months, and then people churn out, hey, nothing is working and I'm paying for the subscription. Because as soon as a customer pays, his scenario is different. Now he want results, he's right at
sure.
his place, but now how you can lower down that way in which they get the results very quickly. Even if they want to post something on social media, just connecting it, and very next day they start posting it.
Yeah. This is a great question. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to understand your client. So, do you have a done for you client or a do it yourself client? And here's what I mean is, if I'm selling to a real estate agent, or I'm selling to a restaurant or an HVAC company or somebody like that, right? They're not tech savvy. And they don't care about domains. They don't care about any of that kind of stuff. So if my onboarding process requires them to do those things, then I've already lost them. So my onboarding process needs to be tailored to my client. That's number one. Number two, it needs to be tailored to their learning style. And here's what I mean by that is, let's say I've got a done for you client. Well, then my onboarding process should probably be almost 100% done for them, right? They fill out a form that has all the necessary information that is required. And then somebody from your team, our team, goes in and actually creates an account, links everything together, things of that nature. And then if you have clients that are not done for you, they're more like do it yourself, then you need to make sure that you're hitting all four different learning styles. Like, for example, I'm a reader. Like, I'm the guy who can sit and pull out a book and pull out a manual and we'll read it step by step and put something together and so forth. My wife is not, right? She wants somebody to hold her hand. Okay, so if I gave my wife a manual and said, "Hey, go put this together," she'd be like, "Yeah, go away. I don't want to do any of
Mm.
that." Right. So if your onboarding process is tailored to your learning style, which most agencies do, right? Though what they'll do is they'll create it in their learning style only. Then what happens is you lose everybody else that is in different learning styles, right? So in our onboarding process, number one, we have emails that go out that literally say, "Hey, look, we have multiple ways for you to get onboarded. You can go watch these videos and go set up your account yourself. You can fill out this form. We'll set it up for you. You can read this PDF. It's got the 7 most important things we need you to set up. Or you can just hop on a call and we'll walk you through everything step by step," right? So we have multiple ways for them to get onboarded. Whatever your onboarding process is, it needs to be tailored to your client, like 100%. Right. So if I have an HVAC company that wants to start, nurturing leads and putting people on their calendar, they're not going to build a workflow. They're not going to care about setting up a DNS record and things of that nature. They're probably not even going to know how. So you need to have team members that can do that for you.
Amazing. So these are like 4 steps. This the best step which I got from here is do not everything, because as a techie sometimes you assume that this is like the basic stuff, they knew that, and
Yeah,
sometimes your team is not able to grab that while delegating any task, because it's in
yeah,
your mind and you think that okay, that the other person knows it, but that's
yeah.
where we need to explain the stuff. Amazing. And you come from a gym background, like, so how's your like work life balance? How much time these days you devoted for your fitness? And right now, I see like it's very early morning for you, and still you are. Thank you for coming on this podcast and taking time. And you are devoting lots of time to your work. So, what's your working style, and how's your like the other health style going on?
Yeah. Well, my life is a lot different now that I'm not in the gym industry anymore. But you're correct. For a long amount of time, I was in the gym industry. At one point, we had our own gym chain, and we had 5 gyms, 4 tanning salons, and my life was really hectic. Now I was really active back then because I was in the gym basically every day. My office was in the gym, my employees were in the gym, my life was in the gym. And so I found time to work out in the middle of the workday. That was the cool thing about that, is that when it was slow, typically after lunch, I could get a workout in. Now my life these days is much different. Like, it's the reverse, where once I sit down and I start working, like, it's tough to get up and go do any of that kind of stuff. You have to get your activity in before or after. In my case, before. Like, I have a combination of things that I do to stay active. I have a gym membership still to this day, and I also have some equipment in my house. So luckily, I live in Las Vegas. So at 5, 6 in the morning, it's still pretty warm outside. I can take my dumbbells and go out in the backyard and start doing my exercises and grab my other machine and things of that nature. Now I just have to change around when I work out.
Amazing. And thank you
Mhm.
so much for coming on this podcast. And I'm putting all those descriptions, your link, white label suite as you rebrand it, and then the agency support for high level and all those stuffs over there, so that
Thanks,
people
man.
who are watching this, you can go and join. And what I learned over here is about the delegation part. Initially, if you delegate, then you are able to scale, because if you start everything figuring out on your own, I think it's very difficult to scale these days. Everyday technology is coming up day, but like GHL come up with lots of updates. Started learning, you might be fall behind. And thank you, Dakota, for coming on this podcast.
I appreciate you. Thanks very much, Nipun.